Welcome everybody to another Indie Game Spotlight video here on the channel. Every week we spotlight indie games on our Wednesday night streams, and these videos are the recaps of them. This video includes games seen from the Steam free festivals they've been running, and you'll find links to all the games in the description down below. So for this one we are playing Shing, and this is a 4-player beat-em-up style game. Of course, I'm playing it 1-player right now. So the hook of this game is that it features a directional-based combat system using the right analog stick. So if you want to attack high, you press up. You want to attack to the kind of medium level, you press left or right, and legs are down. And the challenge of the game is, as you can see, enemies will have varying shields. That's that blue aura at certain parts of their body, and you do not want to strike that. So you need to constantly keep adjusting where you're aiming to pull off combos, and of course charge up for special abilities and kind of like a super move. Each character plays slightly differently, but still relies on the same basic system. And the game, while we were playing this on the festival, had a nice feel to it, but the problem when you have kind of an analog stick as your main control is that it doesn't feel as intuitive as just simply having button presses, X low, square medium, triangle high. And I did have some cases where, as I'm just constantly flicking the analog stick, I was hitting the wrong command or hitting the wrong thing. And you can be punished in this game if you hit them in their stronger part of their body. But this game definitely had some great ideas to it, and this could be a fun multiplayer game if you can get 3 people to enjoy it with. And with that, we turn to My Beautiful Paper Smile. This is an adventure game that's kind of split into an episodic format, kind of similar to that Bendy game and that kind of monetization model, or there are a few other ones that we've seen that my mind is blanking on. But for the festival, we got a chance to play the first chapter. So the game is set up in a disturbing world where the king of this land has forced everybody to smile, and if they don't, they get sent to a special facility that will teach them how to be happy all the time. And with that description, if you're wondering if there's going to be disturbing imagery and weird situations, then you are correct. But this is a game that is kind of going for the adventure horror kind of motif to it. There's going to be a kind of a little brief scare in a second, but you're not going to be seeing anything super graphic. Again, it's all done black and white or noir style, so no heavy amounts of blood. With that said, this game definitely goes for a very unnerving atmosphere. Again, very minimalistic in terms of its sound design, and be prepared to just be wondering what the heck is going on. The story itself is linear, but there are hidden collectibles and bonus things you can find. There's this idea of being able to take off your mask. Oh, and there's something very creepy right there. And kind of make yourself high in the dark or be more stealthy. But I don't know if that is a mechanic that lasts for the entire game, or if it's simply for specific situations. And this is one of those games where, again, the style is meant to kind of be more than the substance. So if you're expecting a very involved gameplay loop, it's not going to be here. But if you're really enjoying, this very weird scene that you're seeing and kind of the description of it, I would say give this one a check. I don't know at this moment how many chapters of the game are out, but it definitely looks, again, to follow that very creepy adventure horror kind of design. For our next game, we turn to Danger Scavenger. This is an action roguelike that should be very similar to fans of something like Enter the Gungeon. And while this was played during the festival, I do have a press key for covering it and playing it further on the channel. The story is that it is the far distant future, and the robot apocalypse has unfortunately happened. And it's up to us to explore these cyberpunk-esque skyscrapers in order to save everybody. So the gameplay from a design standpoint definitely follows the Enter the Gungeon model. You can run, kind of do like a little dash. You also get bonus damage about attacking enemies when they're not aware. But the kind of environmental design falls more in terms of a node-based system, such as in Slay the Spire, where you'll choose what will be your next area based on the rewards that you want. Some will have harder enemies, will give you better rewards, and you get the picture. Now, as with games of this kind, the big thing is going to be finding new weapons and perks, and you can see your gear loadout in the bottom right. Now, one thing that the game didn't quite emphasize is that you can only have items of specific types equipped, so you can't exactly equip like 4 hat type items. And whatever is your current active item is in the bottom right. Getting copies of that item, as you saw right there, will enhance it, giving it more damage, maybe healing you more, or doing more of an effect. And as with Enter the Gungeon or the Biome Isaac, a big portion of this game's design is, of course, combining all these items and getting these insane builds going. You can have, I believe, up to 2 weapons equipped, and that's in the upper left, and you'll find different rarities of weapons, they'll have different ammo demands, and you get the picture. Now, unlike the games we mentioned, or I think Enter the Gungeon did add this in, this does come with multiplayer. I don't know if it's online or local only, but it's always nice to see roguelike or action roguelike games that have a multiplayer component to it. So, the big issue that Dangerous Scavenger has is that we didn't really see anything too unique out of this game. Again, all the beats are very similar to action roguelikes that we've played before. And if you are used to something like Enter the Gungeon, you'll get into this game very quickly. I think there was a very small element of persistence in terms of unlocking new things for future runs, but my problem with this game was after we played this for about like 30 to 40 minutes, I didn't feel the need or feel that want to replay it or do a different run like we've seen with other roguelike style games. And I just don't know if the variance is really here, other than just getting whatever's the best weapons and then going to town on the enemies. Now, if you are looking for a new action roguelike, and you've kind of exhausted Enter the Gungeon and some of the other examples, I would say give Dangerous Scavenger a try. We didn't really see anything bad in this game, but we didn't really see anything that stood out as well. And with that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at a few more indie games for this video. And now for a quick shout out to our current Game Wisdom supporters and sponsors. Going forward, all Patreon supporters will get early access to our videos. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, linked down below. If you're looking for more wisdom about game design, be sure to check out my latest offering of books, 20 Essential Games to Study, aimed for first-time developers and students looking for some inspiration for their upcoming games, and Game Design Deep Dive Platformers if you're interested in anything regarding 2D and 3D platforming design. They're both available in print, digital, and wherever books are being sold. For our next game, we turn to The Wild at Heart. And this is a game that, as you can see, is just oozing charm and some amazing aesthetics. The basic concept is this is Pikmin by way of like a children's novel, something like Where the Wild Things Are. And that's really only a book I know from back then. But we are stuck in a mysterious forest with these creatures called Spritelings and some very weird adults who are trying to keep the forest running. And it's up to us to figure out what's going on and maybe get back to the real world. So the game itself is more in the Pikmin style, that you'll collect resources and things that you need to spawn more of your little critters, which you can then send out to do battle, collect items, operate switches, and basically open up the world around you. So, from the demo that we played, you can unlock new upgrades by spending your resources and get items that can heal, enhance your capabilities, etc. Now, the game definitely is going to be going where it started to introduce the idea of having different kinds of spritlings. You know, some that are good against poison, some that are good against fire, and you get the picture. And the one thing is that the demo didn't really go into detail about kind of the progression of this game. As in, is this going to be like a Pikmin game where we're going to go on kind of a day-by-day kind of campaign structure, or is this more of a linear affair and we're moving from story beat or story area to the next until we see the game through to its conclusion? As you can see, combat is definitely Pikmin-esque as you try to keep your people alive and toss them at enemies. It's not as action heavy as Pikmin ones or as quick, but it's still very easy to lose your little guys here. And you'll have to use kind of resources going back to your main base to revive any that are killed. But with that said, I was getting into this game. I'm a huge fan of Pikmin and this kind of quasi-action RTS kind of design. And if you are as well, then this could definitely be a game worth checking out when it's released. And with that, we'll turn to our next game. This is Snowtopia. Now this one is very much in early access, or I'm sorry, this is very much an early build of that demo. As the demo itself just mainly consisted of this kind of tutorial section, which I had some trouble with, but the premise definitely has some promise. Our goal is to create the best ski resort that we can, and we have complete control over how we set up all the runs and various ways to go down the mountain. Again, I am not a snowboarder, so I have no idea of any of the lingo here. And as with some of the other games that we've played, there's also a golf-based game that kind of looks like a spiritual successor to Sid Meier's Sim Golf that will show up on a future video. So the idea is that you decide where the turns are, how the course is set up, and that will determine the overall difficulty or the appeal of it. You don't want exactly to have nothing but, neck-breaking courses if you're trying to get a wide market of people. And I really like this idea. My major concern about this game and what kind of kept me from playing longer is that I just could not get a lot of the runs to work. And it took more minutes than I would like to admit before we actually got even just a basic one set up. And I think the onboarding tutorial could do a better job of explaining how these courses are supposed to be set up, such as right here in terms of where things are supposed to go. And you have to make sure, I think one thing that kind of threw me off is that it has to be circular. Like, there has to be a loop to your course of going from the resort up to where it's set up, to then go back down to the resort, and rinse and repeat. So if you are a fan of these kinds of management sim kind of games, or you're just a fan of snowboarding in general, this is definitely a great one to check out. For our final game of this video, this is Among Ripples, Shallow Water. And that is definitely a game we kind of went from one management sim to another. This one is more focused on the eco side of things. Your job is to manage various lakes and habitats in order to keep the fish and kind of local population alive. So this one definitely has more of an environmental slant to it compared to some of the other games that we've played. The idea is that whatever you set up in the water in terms of fish, algae, or anything else will affect the various properties that you can see in the bottom of the screen there. So you want to make sure that each lake is essentially stabilized so that, again, whatever is eating the prey can still survive and the prey can live as well. And It reminds me a little bit of that Dinotopia or that Dino Park game that we played at some point as well in the far distant past. Now, by completing objectives, you earn this resource that you can see in the upper right as well as on my bar in the bottom right there that allows you to unlock new lakes, raise and lower, or basically change the environment itself. And the game seems to be kind of aimed not so much as a campaign structure, but more of like of an open style, where you keep getting objectives that opens up more of the map that lets you do more, which then lets you open up more things. It kind of reminds me a little bit of something like Anno 2205 in that regard. My main concern from playing the kind of early alpha of this game, or the early demo, was I didn't see too much in terms of kind of choices or interesting decisions. It's very much you're going to be guided by the objectives. So the objectives say create a place or create a lake that has X type of fish. That's what you're going to do. And there didn't really seem to be much of a setup to kind of go out on your own. The game will feature sandbox modes according to the store page. So ultimately, this is one of those games that it's an interesting concept, but I just don't know what is going to be in this game in terms of practice, or in practice, that's going to keep somebody invested in playing it. With that said, we're going to wrap up our video here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, we do our indie showcase streams Wednesday nights, and if you'd like me to look at a game for a future stream, please get in touch. Again, check out our Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where examine the art and science of games. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.